Living life to its fullest is just a free consultation away. If you're living with symptoms that you can't shake, then bring your low energy, brain fog, belly fat, grumpiness, muscle loss, and low libido to Limitless Male. We have the expertise to get rid of your symptoms. This is what Limitless Male does all day, every day. You won't find another men's clinic like Limitless Male. We know what you're going through. We know how to fix it. Schedule a free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through November 28th is spend $75 and get a 3-pound prepackaged chuck roast for free. Limit 3 per visit while supplies last. Also, through the 28th, get 20% off all spices. Don't forget there are 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Great Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Great Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
This is Rick Heyman from Sartor Heyman Jewelers, inviting you to our new outlet jewelry store at 12th and O in downtown Lincoln. Amazingly, we still have fabulous items we bought 1 year ago and beyond. Well, you know what an outlet store is. Unbeatable prices throughout the store. Closeouts up to 70% off. Don't delay. When it's gone, it's gone. You won't see everything on our website, so you gotta come in. The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Opening November 25th in Lincoln at 12th and O.
Constructors Inc., a Nebco company, is now hiring heavy equipment mechanics to maintain fleet equipment and vehicle operations. Constructors offers mechanics a competitive salary, 4-day work weeks with overtime options, a $5,000 hiring bonus, a tool allowance, and great benefits. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. Apply today for their mechanic positions. Visit constructorslincoln.com.
This year, give the gift of delicious food, incredible service, and a lasting memory with the Pillar Restaurant Group gift card. When you purchase a $50 gift card, you receive a $5 bonus card, or purchase a $100 gift card to receive a $20 bonus card. These cards can be used at all Pillar Restaurant Group locations, including Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, The Butchery, The Bakery, and all Lincoln Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs locations. Available for purchase at any of our concepts or online at prgnebraska.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
You only allow 13 points to Maryland, who's averaging 30. You allow fewer than 400 total yards to an offense that blows past that. Great, but I still am left feeling, what if? Is there one more play, one more drive in this defense?
It's tough for me to put the whole onus, and I know you're not, but to put that onus on them.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Welcome to Ticket Weeknights
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into the Husker Extra Hour. I am Austin Orman. I'll be guiding you through the next hour alongside two of our esteemed guests from the Omaha World Herald. Sam McKewon will join me here in just a second, and Tom Chatel then at 4:30. Really appreciate those guys hopping on for 15, 20 minutes a week with me here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. If you are listening on the radio, we appreciate that. Any comments you might have can be sent to 402-464-5685. If you're watching on the stream, well, that's Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Allo Channel 951. Leave a comment on whatever your preferred platform is. We'll see it and maybe get to it with the guests. If not, I will address it as we get closer to the end of the show. Speaking of Allo Channel 951, Allo does sponsor our VIP line. Big thanks to Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Let's go there now and welcome in Sam McKewon of the Omaha World Herald. Sam, Nebraska falls in another one-possession game. The record finishes at 5-7. On the year, Nebraska had essentially the point differential of a 500 team. Allow 219 points, score 216. As you look at this Nebraska team that finishes 5-7, 1-5 in one-score games, what do you think Nebraska needs to finish stronger in games and in the season? Does it start with coaching? Does it start with talent? Does it start with execution? How does Nebraska finish games better?
They have to have a better offense. And you don't have to necessarily finish the game well, but you need to have, at some point in the course of the game, your offense needs to play better than Nebraska's offense played pretty much all year. I don't know that there was a single game, maybe Northern Illinois, where Nebraska played, what you would call good offense against a good defense. And, I'm sure coaching, talent, and execution is in there, but let's not kid ourselves. This was a very easy schedule. The combined record of the teams is 81-77, I think, and that includes a team that's 12-0. So the balance of the teams that Nebraska played this year were teams with losing records. Northern Illinois had a 6-6 record. Colorado and Louisiana Tech both had losing records. A number of teams that Nebraska played also had losing records. So they had an incredible opportunity this season to make a bowl game, given the teams that they played and given where those teams were. And they weren't able to get it done. And the reason, in my opinion, is their offense wasn't good enough. And their pass game wasn't good enough. Their run game was pretty good at times, but it was turnover prone with the lost fumbles. there were too many drives that didn't end in points. There were too many, honestly, there were too many missed field goals. I can't remember what they were, 9 of 15, 9 of 16, but too many missed field goals. Too many situations where they could have scored and didn't. And, you know, to put it somewhere else is, you certainly can do that. But, you know, part of my job is to assess and analyze where the team's at. It's not my job to coach the team. So I don't need to place equal blame on the defense and offense when we all know that the defense was probably as good as Nebraska's had in the Big Ten era, and the offense was the worst that Nebraska's had in the Big Ten era. So we can assess that pretty easily.
There's a lot to assess and a lot of different perspectives to assess it from. You look at the 5-7 record. I think there are some people looking at this saying this is the best Matt Rule's ever done in a year one. Others who would say, well, he got to 5-3 with this team and he finishes 0-4 in November. This brings me to this, Sam. My conclusion is that there's a lot of context needed to evaluate this season with the injuries on offense. Not a full excuse, but definitely to be noted. But at the same time, I would say a lot of Nebraska fans are tired of having to use nuance and context to talk about this team. Like, they just want wins and losses to matter. Either they got it done or they didn't. I don't think that's fair for this year, but that time's got to be coming soon, right?
Sure. And, you know, the injuries absolutely play a role in Nebraska's struggles on offense. I think that's legitimate and fair. You know, I don't know that they had, I think the biggest issue on offense is the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterback play, and specifically the quarterback that Nebraska believed would be their starter this year and be a good one, and he was not. You know, so I think that, you know, that's kind of where it starts.
Do you think?
Jeff Sims wasn't the quarterback they thought he would be for whatever reason. He wasn't that before he got hurt, and he wasn't that when he got healthy. And you know, so at the end of the season, you know, they resorted to playing a third-string quarterback. Not sure why it took them as long as it did to put in Chubba Purdy. I tried to ask that question last week in a way that was probably overly nuanced and tactful. I mentioned what I thought Chubba Purdy might have been through this season in terms of his injury. The easiest way to ask that question, and we will, is why didn't Chubba Purdy play earlier? And that probably puts the onus where it belongs. So, and this isn't to throw Sims under the bus or any of that. Like, you know, it isn't really on. He obviously didn't play up to his standards, I'm sure. The reality is Nebraska's coaches are paid to select players from the transfer portal and insert those players into the offense. And, you know, the transfer portal was very good as it relates to Ben Scott. The transfer portal was very good in some other areas. It wasn't as good as it related to the quarterback or really, you know, the receiver. I mean, Billy Kemp is a good player, but he was not in a system that took advantage of his skill set very, very well. So, you know, they didn't hit really necessarily on either one of those. Honestly, some of the defensive transfers didn't hit either. Arik Gilbert never played. You know, there was a lot of misses there, and they're going to have to figure out whether they want to go back into the portal or they want to continue to develop the players who are on hand. The only way you add to the roster and you add guys to the roster who you think can contribute next year at this point is to go to the portal, because to say, well, we're going to get another receiver and another tight end who can immediately help us. That's asking a lot of Carter Nelson. That's asking a lot of, you know, Isaiah McMorris or any receiver they have on the roster. You know, it's just asking a lot for those guys to contribute right away. So, you know, the portal looms large, and we'll see what Nebraska chooses to do.
If you had to guess right now, do you think Nebraska would be on the more active side of FBS teams, less active, or just kind of an average amount of activity, both in terms of players they pursue in the portal and players that depart from the roster?
I think average to less, you know, and I probably tilt that way on defense. I think they're going to retain a good chunk of their defensive players, and I think a lot of guys are going to want to come back. You know, they're having success. They're enjoying their time. I don't anticipate I anticipate some guys leaving the program or guys that weren't going to play, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're bringing in guys from the portal to replace them. I think Nebraska would tell you that they They feel pretty good about the young defensive linemen behind the guys who are playing now. They feel really good about the linebackers who redshirted this year. And I include Dylan Rogers and Eric Fields in that. And then I think it's a wait and see on the defensive backs. I think they feel good about, what Ethan Nation might add to the roster, Ramir Stewart, a few other guys. That's a wait and see there, I think, in the secondary. But the good news in the secondary is they're going to be damn good next year. And I mean it. They're going to be good. Tommy Hill's turned the corner. Hartzog will be back. Singleton's coming back. Buford will be there. Giffords probably coming back, I would assume. That's going to be a really good group of players. You give this group one more year together like this, and I think you're going to like the picture a lot among the starters. And then there'll be a couple of backups that I think you really like too. I think the freshmen there are kind of still coming along. But defensively, I think you're not going to see a ton of portal movement. You never know, but I'd be surprised. On offense, you're always going to lose at least one offensive lineman just because you do. I mean, there's a guy that, honestly, there's almost always a guy that doesn't want to play anymore. So there'll probably be one of those. And, I don't know what they're going to do with the running back position. That's an assessment they're going to have to make on the fly here. And then we'll just have to see what else they do. I mean, if you want a quarterback, you better be ready to pay, because you're not going to go out and get another guy that you're not sure about. You're going to go out and get a guy that's a proven passer if you're going to go into this portal, and you're going to have to pay for that. So I don't know what they're going to have to assess that. That guy's not going to come for free, and you're going to have to build whatever you're doing around the guy, which means that, you're immediately telling, Chuba and Heinrich, you're going to start, spring as a 2A, 2B, unless you're bringing in a freshman like a Zane Flores, which I don't think he's coming, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's a little different. But you're looking for immediate help, and you're either going to get immediate help at quarterback by hyper developing Purdy or Harburg, or going out and getting a player who's more developed than Purdy and Harburg are now.
So on that quarterback position, we talk about Jeff Sims, the guy that they brought in. Do you think that Rule and Satterfield weren't on the same page? Was that a Matt Rule decision and said Marcus Satterfield make it work? Did they need to be more on the same page in bringing in a transfer quarterback, or what makes that go better this offseason?
I don't think it makes much difference what page they were on or off last year. The reality is they picked him, and this year they're going to have to make an assessment of where they're at. Rule's going to have to assess if he wants Satterfield to coach the quarterback, or if he wants him to do something else. I mean, there's just so many different components that I'm sure over the course of X number of days they're going to walk through, including the coaching staff. Like, is everybody where they need to be? Is everybody doing the thing that they need to be doing? One of the very first conversations, maybe not the very first, but one of the conversations they'll have on offense is, do we really want to run the 92 option? Like, is that something we're into, or 2002 option, or whatever? Do we really want to run that, or do we want to, put that on the shelf and develop a different kind of run game? And it appeared to me as the season went on, there was an understanding of, man, this play comes at a cost, and it comes at a cost to the health of your quarterback. But they ran it still a couple of times still. So we'll see. I mean, there's so many different questions that I think they've got to kind of work through, and it'll take time, and they'll do a top to bottom review of everything they're doing. And one of the encouraging things is that at receiver, for example, I think the biggest teaching point is get better. Just get better. Keep getting better at that position, because you probably got some guys who can help you. At tight end, pretty much the same thing. Just keep getting better. Probably need a third guy. They didn't really have that this year. Luke Lindenmeyer was a blocker. Probably could use a third receiving tight end. Need to develop that, but just get better at those positions. The quarterback is the big question mark, and running back is too. If you feel like you've got a guy in Emmett Johnson that you want to go ahead and ride, then what does that mean for Amir Johnson, and what does that mean for Gabe Ervin? How does that play out? How do they shake out? What is Quentin Ives going to do? That kind of stuff. So that's the other position where you really have to kind of sit and stew in it a little bit and think about what you want to try to accomplish.
I don't know about for you, Sam, but I don't see a 750-yard rusher as from the running back group on the roster right now. Maybe Emmett Johnson can grow into that with an offseason and then maybe even into next year. But what's the hit rate for running backs out of the portal? Could Nebraska go get a Sean Tyler type guy who transferred from Western Michigan to Minnesota? What do you think Nebraska's options will be at that position if they do decide to pursue it?
You can always go out and get a guy. Again, you'll probably have to pay some, but yeah, it's possible to go out and get a good back. You know, what that player is, how much it costs, and that'll be something to assess. I do think Emmett Johnson has the ability to play at this level, and I thought showed some durability as the season went on, didn't get overly banged up. And, I think that was encouraging to see. And we'll just have to see with Gabe Ervin. I don't know. As it relates to Rahmir, I mean, they're going to have to decide if they want Rahmir to come back. Rahmir has to decide if Rahmir wants to come back. I just don't know that he's got much more than a limited role. He's been hurt many times. And so, you have to be honest about, the likelihood of him going through a full season carrying the ball 20 times a game. So, there's question marks. I know they really like Clinton Ives, but they weren't going to burn his red shirt. And I know they think he's a really good player. So, I trust that assessment. I don't think he was quite ready to be the player that they wanted him to be because he probably needs to put on weight. But they're very excited about him, and so we'll see. Maybe he's the guy. I mean, they have so many questions on that side of the ball, and the reality is, if they'd beaten Iowa or if they just won one game in November, they would have had 15 extra practices to really chew on that and assess it going into a bowl game. Now they don't get that, and they're going to have to assess it in spring. And my advice to Husker fans is trust but verify. Kind of have go in with a healthy skepticism, because again, everybody's won the off season again, best off season ever, best culture ever. Now going forward into the new Big Ten, and this is true of pretty much everybody, you're going to have to play really, really good football just to finish in the top four. Like really, really good football. You're going to have to win 10 games, and there's no consolation prize of Big Ten West title, and there's no consolation prize of finishing second in the Big Ten West. That doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't have any meaning. There'll be no such thing. A 7-5 team in the new Big Ten finishes 8th. So Nebraska has its work cut out for it. I think you're going to see, Indiana paid out its coach today.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to see people screwing around anymore. We're in the Silicon Valley era of college football. There's no buyout that's too big. There's no salary that's too large to pay. And there's no mindset that cannot be reset after 3 years. There's just too much to gain from winning big and too much water to tread by being 6-6 or 7-5 every year. So the reality is, Nebraska needs to get going. It's not, you don't have a ton of time. You have 3-4 years, and or otherwise I'm just telling you, you got to get it going. And they had a chance. Go 6-6, 7-5 this year, tangible progress, and they blew it. 5-7 is fine, and it's better than last year. But everybody's going to know what the story of the team was this season, and they'll go into an off season, and they better be ready to win 7, 8, 9 games next year. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to be like, well, in year 2 at Baylor they went 6-6. No, that's just not where. That's just not where the sport's at. It's not where Nebraska's at. And I don't think what he did at Temple and Baylor are useful context for here. The stakes are higher, the pressure's bigger, the spotlight's hotter,
Mm-hmm.
the salaries are larger. It's just, it just doesn't have a lot of applicability. They're going to, and Rule knows that. I'm not saying anything he doesn't already know. But I do feel like, and I've sensed this in the last however many years, of with the people, just sort of in and around and covering the program, is it's like, hey, if we just have a kind of proximity to the program, it makes little difference whether they win or lose. We will find nuance and context to tell happy stories no matter what. And certainly you have to do that. but the fan base is very hungry for much, much more than that, and they haven't gotten it, and they're the ones footing the bill. And so, at some point, they're going to want some of their investment back in terms of wins and positive experiences and bowl games.
You'll hear from Matt Rule again, Sam. And what do you think his read is going to be on this season? What do you think he'll say? Do you think he'll present that same sort of, hey, we made progress behind the scenes, even if it didn't result in wins and losses? Do you think he'll come out and say, yeah, we should have had a couple more wins and gone bowling? How do you think Matt Rule will speak to the media about this season?
He's already talked about making progress. And to be clear, I think they did make progress. I think their culture is better. I think he, built bridges between the many constituencies of Nebraska football. 5-7, as I know, is better than 4-8. So they did win one more game. You can't say they didn't. So there's progress certainly to be sold, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. In my experience, his answers get better when we ask better questions.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that's incumbent upon us. If an inordinate amount of time is spent on all of the positives that came out of the season, when those have been extolled along the way, I mean, we've covered all of the positive stories that have come along. If the majority of the time is spent on recapping all of the progress that was made, then I think he'll be more than happy to go through that. There have been times when he has actually been like, I need a couple harder questions in this. And actually Scott Frost used to say it too. And to some degree, that's incumbent upon us. It's not incumbent upon the head coach. And, so some of that's on the press corps that covers the program, and whether we're doing a good job of asking, the hard questions that get insightful answers.
Two quick ones for you here, Sam. First of all, Husker basketball moves to 7-0 for the first time since 92-93. What's your read on Fred Hoiberg's team this year, starting 7-0 with Creighton coming to Pinnacle Bank Arena a week from today?
They're deep. That helps. One or two guys can have off nights, and other guys can pick up the slack. I think that's good. They have multiple options of point guard, so if one guy gets hurt or is having an off night, somebody can come in and make plays. I think they have a certain level of physicality that's notable. They haven't been great on defense all year. There's been games where they were great. Oregon State, obviously, they were terrific in that game. But there's been moments where the defense probably hasn't been as tight as Fred Hoiberg would like it. I think they're going to have some issues rebounding the basketball. Creighton's a funny team. They're a tough team to play in the sense that if Creighton hits shots, they're almost impossible to beat. Like there's a couple of teams that can, but I don't know if Nebraska's one of them. Now the question is, can Nebraska get them to miss shots? And Nebraska will play a defense that gives Creighton opportunities to hit threes in tough spots. And if Creighton hits them, they'll win. And if they don't, they won't. So this is the stretch, though. What I would call the most recent stretch, Austin, was the NIT stretch.
Mm.
Winning those games helps you get into the NIT. Now Nebraska is going to go through a stretch of Creighton, K-State, Creighton, Minnesota, Michigan State, K-State, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you call an NCAA tournament stretch. And you want to go to the NCAA tournament? You win two of those. You do 2 or 4. Now you can pick your 2. Doesn't make any difference. You get Michigan State at home. You get Minnesota on the road. Maybe those are your 2. You get Creighton at home. You get K-State on the road. Maybe those are your 2. I don't know. But that's how you win. That's how you get into the tournament bids, is that little stretch in December. The committee will look at that, and they will say, well, all right, well, here's this little stretch in December before they went full on into the conference. How did they do? And if Nebraska comes out of that and they're 9-2, I think you have an NCAA tournament team potential. If they're 7-4, and they might be, then I think you're kind of where you've been for many, many years, which is hoping to get on a heater in January or February. And Fred got on one last year. Tim got on one 11 years ago. And that's what you're kind of hoping for, is to get hot at the right time and have all the pieces come together. Eventually, Nebraska basketball needs to get to the point where they're good in December and they win a couple of those games, and they use that as motivation and confidence going into the conference play rather than having to play catch up.
Maybe the team that's been best in December at Nebraska volleyball. We're about half an hour away from the selection show. The Huskers do fall to Wisconsin on Friday, bounce back with a win against Minnesota. Going into the tournament, how are you feeling about this Husker volleyball team, and just how good are they with the NCAA tournament on tap?
They'll probably be the number one seed. I've talked to people who I respect, who know the sport better than I do, that say Stanford and Wisconsin will be very challenging when it comes to that if they get to the Final Four. I think Nebraska will get to the Final Four. I think Stanford and Wisconsin may well be there too. So I think there's a couple of teams that can beat Nebraska on the right night. Nebraska's got to stay consistent. They have to show up in the first set. Like, they got to make sure every night from here on out, they're going to get 6 matches, right? 6, right?
Yep.
They got to show up every night. First set, got to show up. You cannot wait to kind of get in the groove. And they've lost some first sets, and they've also not played well in some first sets where, they win at 25-23, but they're not playing great. They went up to Iowa. They didn't play great right away. You got from here on out, that first set is really important because the pressure of the NCAA tournament is so high that, it just compresses the freedom that you feel when the end of your season is right there. And I could go back to last year when they almost beat Oregon. And, again, Nebraska they can't afford to lose first sets. If they win first sets, I actually like them to win the national title. If they drop that first set, from that point, you just never know. So Nebraska will have a good draw. I'm sure they will make it to the Elite Eight without much sweat. Then they'll probably get somebody in the Elite Eight who can beat them, and they're going to have to come in and beat Nebraska in front of 9,000 at Devaney. And then the Final Four, that's a crapshoot. That's the thing where whoever's playing best wins. And Nebraska has not been that team for 7 years, but they've been awfully close.
We'll pay attention to the Huskers draw here again in about half an hour. Sam McKewon of the Omaha World Herald with us. Make sure you check out his work at omaha.com. Sam, as always, appreciate the time.
Take care.
Sam joined us on our VIP line, brought to you by Allo at Allo Fiber. They understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We'll take a break. When we get back, we'll have Tom Chatel on the horn. He'll put a bow on the Husker football season, maybe get some basketball and volleyball takes from him as well. Don't go anywhere. This is the Husker Extra Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
This year, give the gift of delicious food, incredible service, and a lasting memory with the Pillar Restaurant Group gift card. When you purchase a $50 gift card, you receive a $5 bonus card, or purchase a $100 gift card to receive a $20 bonus card. These cards can be used at all Pillar Restaurant Group locations, including Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, The Butchery, The Bakery, and all Lincoln Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs locations. Available for purchase at any of our concepts or online at prgnebraska.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Gary with Gary Michaels Clothiers Lincoln. As we celebrate our 40th anniversary, which started in Hastings in 1983, I often reflect on the Lincoln men's stores no longer here. They are McGee's, Ben Simons, Landon's, Rothschild, Sir Winston, Post and Nickel, Ragman, Murray's, Miller and Payne, and Joseph A. Bank. You know where I'm coming from. Gary Michaels has been battle-tested, and we are committed to serve Nebraskans as your premier store for men for many years to come. Gary Michaels Clothiers, 56th and Pine Lake Road, Lincoln.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be.
Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
This year, give the gift of delicious food, incredible service, and a lasting memory with the Pillar Restaurant Group gift card. When you purchase a $50 gift card, you receive a $5 bonus card, or purchase a $100 gift card to receive a $20 bonus card. These cards can be used at all Pillar Restaurant Group locations, including Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, The Butchery, The Bakery, and all Lincoln Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs locations. Available for purchase at any of our concepts or online at prgnebraska.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through November 28th is spend $75 and get a 3-pound prepackaged chuck roast for free. Limit 3 per visit while supplies last. Also, through the 28th, get 20% off all spices. Don't forget there are 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Austin Norman back with you inside the 93.7 The Ticket studios here at 11th and O Streets. This is Ticket Weekend, specifically the Husker Extra Hour. You're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as Allo Channel 951. And a big thanks to Allo for sponsoring our VIP line, Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Let's go right back there and welcome in Tom Chatel of the Omaha World Herald. Well, Tom, Nebraska managed to do it again, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But hey, there was a twist this time. It was a backup kicker, not the starting kicker. That's something, right?
Yeah, well, why is it that I was third team quarterback and backup kicker, end up winning the game, and Nebraska's can't, right? It's just, it's over. I got a lot of feedback last week from a lot of people, and most people are, understanding and patient, and I guess behind the whole, you got to build it. Everybody's behind rule, but it's just frustrating, and a lot of people. I didn't see a reason why they couldn't win that 6th game, and I agree to a point, but I thought they really squeezed it. I thought they really squeezed everything out of this team if they could. I just, they should have. It should be Michigan State, Maryland when they had the chance. I think those were the 2 that probably had the most regrets, but. Everything is, now they got a busy offseason. They've got to take care of that roster. They've got to get some playmakers in there, and then hopefully there were some guys who got developed this year who could help out next year.
As you look at Nebraska finishing the year at 5-7, despite being 5-3 going into November, did Nebraska make enough progress? Did they make the amount of progress you thought they might coming into the year? How do you grade where Nebraska is now compared to where they started the year?
Well, I didn't. I picked them to go 6-6, and that was, to me, that was the ceiling. I thought this is. They didn't have enough players. I mean, enough returning guys. They won 4 games last year basically because of Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer. They just didn't have a lot of, and they had some running backs, but then those guys got hurt. I thought this would be a year where they would try to win some games and just build, and they'd be trying to find some answers that they could carry on like next year. But then they got to 5-3, and that ruined it for everybody. It's just got everybody's hopes up. Everybody is looking for that. Okay, yeah, he got 4 games left. You know, they can do this. They can get that 6th win. It's doable. And you know, the way they scored points in their last 2 wins, it did look doable. I mean, Harburg was making some plays with his legs, and he hit some deep passes, and the defense played lights out. And, I mean, you looked at Michigan State and think, well, their season is over. They're not going to do much. And, you know, Nebraska came out flat for that one, and they still had a chance to win at the end or go for it. You know, Maryland, I still say that was mismanaged. You know, I take my chances going for the field goal there, and then trying to hold them. And you look at Maryland. You know, Maryland is pretty good. I mean, it's some good wins. So, and I feel like, you know, Nebraska played. I think I was 14-0 at Wisconsin. Now that's still a tough deal, but they just ran out of plays in that game. They just didn't. The defense wasn't great. I don't know. It's and the Iowa game was just punt, and you know, that's an inexperienced player there at the end by Chuba. You got to throw it away. You know, you can't throw it. I almost wish, like I did in Maryland, like I was saying against Wisconsin, play for overtime. Don't worry about trying to score touchdowns. Or, I mean, Alvano had just missed a 44-yarder into the wind. You know, you didn't have a timeout left because they messed that up. So just run the ball and get in overtime. I mean, taking Iowa's offense into overtime, it didn't sound like a bad deal, does it?
No.
So, I mean, I just felt like they were a few players and a few coaching decisions short of that 6th win, and it's frustrating. So people have a right to be mad, and they're very impatient. They're very hungry for that 6th win. And, you know, Rule's upbeat after the game, and he's building. And, you know, I'm not saying they weren't trying to win. Sure they were. But I just feel like there needs to be more urgency next year, going into next season, especially with the first half of that schedule. I think they got to get get things to where they come out firing in that first game. It's all set up to have a nice hot start, and try to get the bowl bid secure before you start hitting the West Coast and some of those games. So anyway, what was the question?
I was going to say, so you mentioned the coaches and you mentioned the players. Those are really the 2 elements of football. Which is easier for Nebraska to improve going into next year, the coaching decisions or the talent level?
Well, I think what's going on with Nebraska right now is more about talent than it is coaching. Good players and hopefully great players. They make coaches look so smart. I mean, you don't have to worry about managing the game when you've got guys who can block and gain 4 or 5 yards of pop on the, you know, running plays and hit receivers who are open and not overthrow them and not throw interceptions and make mistakes and fumble. And, you know, you don't ever see great players fumble. You know, that's an old thing. You know, heard that from coaches a long time ago. You know, the good players don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean the guys at Nebraska aren't good players, but they're certainly not good enough. I mean, you kind of hang on to the ball, and you know, I don't think they need a big 5-star quarterback to come in. Just go get a Joe Gans. I mean, look could Joe Gans have done with this offense? You need some guys around him, but he's not going to make mistakes, and he's going to manage the offense, and he's going to get you in and out of good plays. And I think Chubba Purdy's got some of that. I want to see more, but. I think. Do I think Marcus Satterfield's the answer? I don't know. I'm as skeptical as everybody else. Having said that, I thought the way they managed Harburg in the middle of the season, they did a nice job with that. They tried to create this quarterback run game. and try to win games that way. Just once in a while, they just can't help themselves. They gotta push the envelope. They gotta throw it, and that's when they got in some trouble. But I think players, offensive line Friday. Holy crap! I mean, I don't care what play you called Friday, it wasn't going to work because the Iowa defensive line was in the backfield as soon as the ball was snapped. I mean, there was nowhere to go for Purdy. I mean, it's just they got to get that offensive line going. And maybe that was a bad game, but I don't care about Iowa's defense. Nebraska needs to have an offensive line that can take care of anybody, and that's just the way it is. So they've got to get that going, and that might take 2 or 3 years to but I think there needs to see market improvement next year and a lot more urgency.
So, Tom, you read my mind. I was going to go to the offensive line next. That was a group that was definitely maligned over last offseason coming into this year. Bryce Benhart wasn't perfect, but definitely played better. I mean, makes his 41st career start at Nebraska, up there among all sorts of names, making a lot of starts at Nebraska. Donovan Raiola, a big topic of conversation last offseason. Did you see enough from him to say he could be the answer for this offensive line, or is that just a talent thing again?
They had some moments, and they certainly had their share of injuries. But I think next year is a big year for him. I expect him back. I don't think anybody's going to be off. I think that whole offensive. I think the offensive. They'll all be back, but I think they're all under watch next year. They're under very close scrutiny. That whole offensive staff. Because receivers did really well. I mean, Lloyd had some good plays there, but there were some drops, and you didn't always know if they were running the right route. And I'd love to see Thomas Fedoni get going. I feel like there's a guy. I don't know if they took him away or they just didn't find him enough, but I think going forward, a run-based offense with an offensive line and a tight end is going to be a lot easier to do than anything else. So, the offensive line is it could use some help in the portal, and I think they've got a nice base of guys coming back, but they've got to get better. And sometimes running backs can help you, with better. So, but Urban and Ramir Johnson come back. They're not really what you call difference makers. They're not guys who change the game. They're good, solid backs. But I mean, I just right now, I think they should be looking for anybody and everybody. I don't think they need to go get 20 guys, but they need to supplement that offense with a few playmakers who can come in and change the game.
We're talking with Tom Chatel here on our Allo VIP line. Tom writes for the Omaha World Herald. And Tom, throughout the year, I've been reading the World Herald's series on Memorial Stadium, the 100 years of it. Matt Rule might need to ask the contractors working on South Stadium if they know the Ghostbusters, try to get some of those late game demons out of there. But your piece that just went up today with all sorts of memories from fans, without giving the whole piece away, what were 1 or 2 of those that stood out to you?
Well, I love the one about the guy climbing up the goalpost. I've never had like a play-by-play description of being on top of a goalpost, what that was like, and it sounded kind of scary. But and then what do you do? What do those guys do when they take a goalpost back to the frat house? He went into great detail there as well. So I appreciated that. I liked someone who used to go to games with my dad. I love the one about the 2018 the Akron opener, and there was no game, but the dad really enjoyed himself, and we was dancing in the rain, and how the son appreciated that he had that memory now forever, and always was glad that they stayed and hung out that night, even though the game was called. And to me, that's what games and stadiums are all about. They're the memories. You're always going to win, there's going to be pain, there's going to be glory and celebrations, but it's, to me, the Husker games and the stadium is for the people you share those things with. And that's what I wanted to kind of convey, in that column. So, it was fun to do. I meant to do it earlier, but after the volleyball day in Nebraska, and the season just started going. I just kind of lost track of it, so I wanted to make sure I got it in there. Yeah, that was a nice change of pace after what everybody went through Friday.
I was going to say, better late than never. I highly recommend people go check that out at omaha.com. Make sure you find it. Rivalry on Friday for Nebraska football. Big one next Sunday for both Nebraska and Creighton as the Blue Jays come down to Lincoln on Sunday afternoon. Nebraska won the game last year. Tom, what do you make of both Nebraska and Creighton through the first, early part of their respective men's basketball schedules?
Yeah, Nebraska's really they've been impressive in that they've been consistent and they've taken care of business. And they had a couple games. Ryder was one of them where it took a while to get going, and the things were kind of hairy there for a while. And now, okay, here's where they have their hiccup, but they didn't. And they're playing defense. They're playing. They're rebounding. They're hitting the shots, and they're just acting like a good team acts. And I know they haven't had the big schedule, but who cares? That's Nebraska basketball. They just need to learn how to win. I think they're doing that. Creighton right now is they're not reeling, but I'm sure they're after bad loss to Colorado State. And Colorado State's not a bad team, but that was a bad loss. The way they lost it. They added a lot of firepower, but they lost athleticism when they lost Nemhard and Kaluma. So they're trying to figure that out, how that's going to work. And they haven't really played a lot of athletic teams yet. Iowa's not athletic. Colorado State's probably not great athleticism, but Creighton relies so much on their shots. And they missed an uncanny number of shots. That'll never happen again. I wouldn't count on that. But they're a different team than last year, and they're trying to figure all that out right now. And they seem to shoot better at home. So I don't know what Nebraska can do to the rims next week, but Creighton, it'll be they have to go to Oklahoma State Thursday night. So they're kind of searching right now, and Nebraska's confident. Before the season, I would have said, well, Creighton will go in there and probably win comfortably. Well, I think now it's I think the margins are a lot closer right now, so it should be fun.
We're 10 minutes away, too, Tom, from the volleyball selection show, Nebraska volleyball. Definitely in the running for the number 1 overall seed. Is this a vintage John Cook Final Four team? Is this less than that? What do you make of the Husker volleyball team going into the NCAA tournament?
I think they're the absolute best team, and you'd probably put Wisconsin right behind them. I watched a little bit of Texas. Texas isn't where Nebraska is. Louisville's not there. There's Stanford. They've already taken care of that, so they were a lot more physical than Stanford. I think they're the best team. That they're obvious number 1 overall seed. But they're going to get everything at home. So the next 2 weekends. So they'll have to overcome a little bit. And who knows? Maybe who knows who they send here? They may have to overcome a lot the second weekend. But I expect it to be in Tampa, and then they'll have to make plays. They'll have to step up and go take it. But yeah, this has been thought all along the stadium match that something was going on this year. This was a special year, special team. The way they've handled themselves, won the Big Ten. One loss. I think this is their tournament, not their tournament to lose, because they're, again, Wisconsin and Nebraska are very even. It's just who's going to make the plays. And at the end of the day, Wisconsin really wanted that bad. But, we've got this is fantastic, though. Omaha's in there. It's the first time ever. And it's a true, it's all 4 teams that were in volleyball day are in NCAA tournaments. 2 in Division II and 2 in Division I. And, Creighton is back with their star player back now, and they're pointing to it. I have to wonder if they might match up Omaha with Nebraska in the first round, as sort of a 16-1 deal. I don't know if they do that, but they didn't like to send people very far, so Omaha might end up in Lincoln. Would they put Creighton in the same region as Omaha or as Nebraska? I don't know, but we'll find out really soon, won't we? So it's exciting. Everybody's watching this year. Everybody's paying attention to this, and as we wait to see what's next for Nebraska football offseason, this is a great thing to pay attention to.
Sure is. A volleyball team that only has 1 loss on the year, a women's team that's been off to a pretty solid start, and then an undefeated men's basketball team as well. Plenty going on in Husker land. Make sure you check it all out on omaha.com. Columnist Tom Chatel with us here on our Allo VIP line. Tom, as always, really appreciate the time. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I'll see you later.
There he goes, Tom Chatel, again on our VIP line, brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. One last break for the Husker Extra Hour. We'll turn it over to the Husker Rewind. Tom and Melby come up here in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family. And as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. The holidays are here, and Fairway has everything you need for charcuterie boards, shrimp trays, party platters, wine, beer, spirits, and more. Plus, custom fresh cuts on USDA choice or prime grade beef, all-natural pork, fresh chicken, and seafood. Your holiday meals start at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
If your car has sent you to the sidelines, Eustace Body Shop can help. With gold-class certified technicians, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop is your best choice this Husker season. And with 6 locations across central and eastern Nebraska, we've got you covered, whether you're rooting at home or you're headed to Memorial Stadium. Get a free online quote at EustaceBodyShop.com, and let's get you back in the game.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Austin Norman back with you one final time here on the Husker Extra Hour. Big thanks to Sam McKewon and Tom Chatel for joining us on our VIP line, brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We have Walter and Brian here on the YouTube stream. Appreciate you both tuning in to those two conversations. Walter says Nebraska's record in one-score games since 2017 is 8-33. Yeah, that's not good enough. That will certainly not get it done for the Huskers in terms of going to a bowl game. And Brian says hopefully a heavy home game early schedule helps Nebraska get a couple more wins, builds players' confidence up going into the back end of the schedule in 2024. Just to review that schedule in 2024, thanks for that, Brian. UTEP, who just fired their head coach today, starts things off for the Huskers at home on August 31st. You welcome Colorado to Lincoln on September 7th, Northern Iowa, the FCS program on the 14th. And then you get a Big Ten game at home to open up the Big Ten slate. It's Illinois on the 21st. You go to Purdue on September the 28th before welcoming Rutgers to Lincoln on October 5th. Then you have your first bye week. That's right, first bye week. Husker football has two of them. Indiana, who did just relieve head coach Tom Allen of his coaching duties today. Then it becomes a bear. Nebraska goes from Bloomington to Columbus to take on Ohio State. The Huskers will then host UCLA here in Lincoln before heading out west to take on USC. They host Wisconsin and then go to Iowa to end out the regular season. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in there for Husker football to get off on the right foot, get a run started early, get bowl eligible. You know, at some point there, probably in those first 7 games as you would probably draw it up. Once again, big thanks to Sam McKewon and Tom Chatel for joining me on our Allo VIP line. Thanks to all of you for listening here to the Husker Extra Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. I'm out of here. I'll turn it over to Tom Stevens and Mike Melby. It's the Husker Rewind. I'm sure they will talk plenty of Husker football, probably some Husker men's and women's basketball, and the Husker volleyball selection draw on Selection Sunday. That gets going here in just a couple of minutes. Once again, big thanks to Sam and Tom. I'm Austin Norman. This has been the Husker Extra Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and